morning. What is happening, everyone? Are you ready for the week? Has work just started? Are you in the middle of it? Are you on your lunch break? Is work over? Whatever the case may be, hey, maybe you're working overtime, maybe you're working late. Maybe you want to work. Let's shout out everybody who wants to work out there. The nation has spoken. Tip-off, kickoff, first pitch, face-off. It's the No Show Sportscast. I'm Matt Klein here, and it is Monday morning to start off the week. The Vancouver Canucks have lost their second straight game, falling to Seattle on Saturday. Oh boy, what are we going to do? 110th Grey Cup. Montreal tops Winnipeg. We have guys crying on the sidelines. Tyson Philpott, game-winning touchdown. Fajardo leads the Alouettes to victory over Winnipeg. A great, awesome underdog story in the Canadian Football League, as well as other football happening. NFL Sunday, Week 11, Cooper Kupp, Joey Bosa, Aaron Jones, Devon Achane, to name a few. Big names that had to leave with injuries. Zach Wilson benched for Tim Boyle in a blowout loss to Buffalo. NBA action. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Ontario's very own. 40 points versus the Warriors. They take both games in home and home against Golden State. They're continuing to struggle. Those Warriors, what is going on? They need some help back. Maybe somebody that got recently suspended can help. I don't know. And Friday was Toronto's first in-season tournament. How is that even possible? Some guys have played 4 games, but we're already almost finished for some of those teams. Toronto just starting it off. The Raptors taking care of business in their first in-season tournament. But let's begin. So Seattle, let's start with the NHL. Let's start with Seattle. What is happening? What is going on? The Canucks were rolling. They were taking down every single team you threw at them. They looked unstoppable start to finish. And still, it's very early. It's November. We should not be over-analyzing anything. I'm not worried about the loss. Like I mentioned on Friday morning, I mentioned how Calgary, that loss seemed a little bit inauspicious, to say the least. And once again, Seattle. We thought that maybe they were going to lose 5-2 with an empty netter. Final score is 4-3. No big deal. Not to me. I understand that. Seattle, they take down Colorado in 7 games in the playoffs last year. Still trying to figure out their identity because they're a brand new team. The Seattle Kraken. Brand new NHL team. They're a tough, gritty team, and they find ways to win, and that is very admirable. I thought, actually, that Vancouver, it would be a little bit more of a rivalry between these two cities, being in such proximity to one another. But that's just not the case. On Saturday night, Demko looked good, and the Canucks looked like the Maple Leafs. Like they were bipolar. They were going back and forth between, wait a minute, the record shows an amazing team, and that's exactly what we saw some of the time, but not all of the time. And in that third period, that's when you need to be the team that's going to get you to the finish line with the win, if you had the lead, of course. But there's just a lot of different facets here. So the Canucks, they have the Sharks, Avalanche, Seattle, and then the Sharks again. And this is a huge window for them, okay? They got to take care of both of those games against San Jose. I don't know about the Kraken or the Avalanche, but I don't know. I don't think the Canucks are being tested right now because they're in a redeemed situation with the schedule. But like I say, they have to beat bad teams, and it's a toss-up between good teams. It's not super obligatory to go away with a win. They can go to Colorado and lose. It's not a big deal, but they got to take care of these games against the Sharks. And, of course, the Grey Cup. Wow. Tyson Philpott gets the win. Honestly, Montreal was just, they weren't the team. They weren't looking like the team anyway. But here they surprise everybody. And, taking care of Toronto the way that they did, that was surprising in the semis in the East over there. I mean, Winnipeg, they've just been a juggernaut for so long, and they're always good. Montreal was not expected to win like this. They weren't expected to beat Toronto. Certainly not the favorites in that game, and in this game as well. Playing in cold weather, you'd think Winnipeg would steamroll them because it's just what Winnipeg does, you know? It's a nice underdog story, of course. And Montreal came back as well. They were losing, but they came back. Obviously, it's nice. Canada. It's a nice little cozy little Canadian esoteric little tournament thingy. And it's just cute because everybody at the end of the game, they're running down to the field with their big puffer jackets on. And I guess the players, one of the guys was taking his shirt off, but everybody, you can see all the breath. You just see it with their war paint, probably spraying maple syrup on each other. Maybe it's spiked maple syrup in their mittens and their scarves. But it's just like so different. I mean, it's freezing their rears off. And then you got the Super Bowl in Florida, in LA. You got it in Vegas this upcoming year in 2024 in February. But Canada is just doing it totally different, okay? Shirts off in the winter, what have you. That's what happens, okay? It's a great story. I mean, I love the contrast. I love the CFL making it unique, making it their own. And can we give an appreciation for James Duthie? Some of you that tuned into the Olympics in 2010 when they were in Vancouver, do you remember James Duthie? Because when the Olympics was a thing, we needed some hosts on TV. We needed James Duthie and Lisa LaFlamme, and the two of them were the ones that were like, hello, welcome, it's day 8 of the Winter Olympics here in Vancouver. I mean, now he's the MC of the Hockey Hall of Fame induction night. He's presenting the Grey Cup to the Grey Cup winning Alouettes on Sunday night. I mean, the guy, he's even like, he's got that hockey show where basically TSN, if they're covering hockey, like the World Juniors or the trade deadline, which is the only thing that they really got. I mean, yeah, that's the only thing that we all tune in for. James Duthie is now just the MC. He's leading everything, hosting that show, doing a great job, obviously. That's so cool to see his progression. He's like Toronto's Wonder Boy now. Everybody loves this guy. Uh-oh, NFL news. It's Sunday, folks. It's Sunday. Oh, boy. It was a weird weekend. It was kind of odd. It was. Miami, I don't know if you guys are convinced that the Dolphins are actually a good team, because I'm not. I was cheering for the Raiders. I wanted the Raiders to win so that the AFC East could be even more wide open than it already is. The Bills, I'm not worried. I think Zach Wilson and the Jets are just a huge mess, and they make the Bills look good. But I still think that the Bills played really well, and I think Josh Allen needed that rebound game, even though he had his obligatory interception, what have you. It doesn't matter. It didn't factor in to anything. But still, it's pretty amazing to see the Jets be as bad as they are because they found ways to make it close, which I didn't believe for a second. The way that they played against the Chiefs, everyone thought they were amazing. I was watching that game. I was just like, this is kind of a boring game because neither teams are taking care of business. But Zach Wilson and the Jets, they just seem to be hanging around long enough. That, to me, that doesn't mean they were great. And the Bills, I think the Bills are going to be fine. They're going to make the playoffs. It's fine. Let's relax here, okay? They're not as terrible. And it's weird how terrible it appears that they are, making themselves look and all that. But the Jets, now they've got to figure out what to do with their quarterback situation because Rob Saleh is finally admitting that there's a problem with Zach Wilson because he benched him for the entire second half. Now, I'm pretty sure Wilson is going to play in Friday's Black Friday game against Miami because Tim Boyle didn't exactly justify why they should play him either. He threw an interception. It's just what you do. It's part of the DNA of the locker room. If you got a QB next to your name in the opening lineups, that's what happens. He's not much of a guy you're going to fall back on. So we can't trust him. We can't trust Zach. Like, this is all just going downhill so much. And last week, I thought to myself, are the Jets going to need to draft a QB now? Because are they going to win another game with this offense? And the Giants, on the other side of things, Tommy DeVito goes for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks. This is just unbelievable, man. This is not shaping out to be that great in the long run. Obviously, the players want to win, but the team, wants to draft a QB because it's a great opportunity to do that. Daniel Jones is out for the year. Tyrod Taylor is just a backup, and Tommy DeVito shouldn't even be playing. So, not to mention, Saquon Barkley as well. This guy is turning into a top 5 running back, or at least he's reintroduced himself. Hey, guys, remember me? I'm on this terrible team, but I'm actually really good at football, and I play a position that is a little bit cantankerous. But I'm making the most of it, and I just want to play football. I'm not saying a word. I get my carries. I'm happy, okay? Let's just relax. But this is not conducive because there's all these teams. There's a lot of bad teams, okay? Not to mention Arizona. And they lost to C.J. Stroud in Houston. And my goodness, C.J. Stroud, he didn't have his best game. He now has 5 interceptions on the season. And 24 hours ago, he only had 2. But this is not an indictment on him. He still threw for over 330 yards. This is more of an indictment on Arizona because they couldn't do anything with it. They only had 16 points. And you should have way more than that if you're going to score more than that. If you're going to be getting the ball 3 times, if you're going to be catching it, those have to turn into points. And it's pretty ridiculous because you got the Panthers, you got the Bears, you got the Giants, you got yourself in Arizona. And the Jets are probably going to fall right down to that as well. They're going to end up being just like that. So there's a lot of bad teams doing bad things and making it more predictable for themselves where they're going to end up. But, I mean, the Bears cannot be too upset. They shouldn't be too upset because they got Carolina's picks. As long as Chicago keeps losing and Carolina keeps losing, I think everything is going to be okay for Chicago. Justin Fields, who knows? He's still a great quarterback. I know it's tough to see what he's been up to because he hasn't been up to anything, really. But because they lost again to the Lions. And Detroit, man, they are for real. 7 wins now, which they haven't had in a long time. So it's quite something. It's hard to believe that the Lions are able to be as good as maybe some people thought they were going to be. But they're just also very, very quiet because it's the Lions, you know. We'd rather pay attention to the Cowboys or the 49ers or the Eagles in the NFC, okay? Not the Lions. But they get 2 touchdowns at the very end, plus a safety. I mean, making Chicago look like the team that they are. Sunday Night Football, everybody. Are you ready for Sunday Night Football between Minnesota and Denver? It was a tough loss for Minnesota. I'm not too worried about it. Minnesota's my team, and I want them to do well. But the NFC is just not good. And the Broncos needed that win. They're right there in the mix now. They're right around the Jets, Cincinnati, Buffalo kind of region with Houston and probably some others. But no, Minnesota, I think they're good. Seattle losing helps them. And Detroit was always going to be probably a little bit farther away from them. I'm not expecting Dobbs to win every single game. It's still amazing what he's been able to do. He's been on the team for 20 days, and he has 3 rushing touchdowns, which leads the team. You got to get Jefferson back. You got to. He's the guy. And it's clear that they needed him because they weren't really able to do a whole lot. But, hey, it's great. It's awesome. I'm here for it. I love to see it. A little bit of NBA news. Yeah. Toronto. So I don't really get it. Drake was at the Raptors game on Friday, and he was joking about how he didn't know who the head coach was. I'm pretty sure that Drake knows. He's a fan. I'm not going to put his being a fan into question. But he's like, I'm pretty sure this coach isn't Nick Nurse. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Okay, it's a joke. This guy's trying to be funny. But still, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. The guy is, it's hard to be someone like Drake and to go to every single game. That's just the reality. So, hey, Raptors are turning things around. They have been just on a hot streak here. Siakam is being everybody that the Raptors needed him to be, and that is good for the team because they need him. Everything has to go through him and Scotty. But, yeah, season high franchise record, I believe, 44 assists today against the Pistons. Sunday against the Pistons, and it was pretty impressive because they're going to need they're going to need all the wins they can get. It's a tough Eastern Conference, so we're going to be looking out for them. And all the NBA news, because there's a lot of NBA news. We got to keep on track of it. We got to be on track of that stuff. So, Monday, lots to think about over the weekend and lots to go into over the weekend. We're going to be uploading on Mondays and Fridays in the morning so that you know everything you need to know about what happened over the weekend and what's been happening in the week. So stay tuned on the No Show Sportscast. We're going to be uploading every single Monday and Friday. Take that to the bank.